Hey, thanks for joining us at the At Cause podcast. I'm Nelson Anderson, Full Sail Media, and I got my co-host over here.
Hey, everybody. Kevin Kukar, nice to meet you.
That's Kevin, the man, the myth, the legend. Kevin, happy day to you.
Happy day to you.
Everything going well?
I'm excited to be here again.
All right, me too. Thanks for joining. So I just want to rap a little bit about like what's influencing us right now, like as a people, right? No, not as a people broadly, as you and I personally.
This is like all
Sorry,
of,
I went
all
really
of humanity,
big,
what's
and then I got
influencing
really
us?
small. So we're just yeah. So like, I mean, we listen to things, we read things, we watch things, and so and then the algorithms feed it, and then we get further deeper into it. So I want to hear what you're listening to, what you're hearing, and I'm going to share mine. I can't wait.
Awesome.
You show me yours if I show you mine.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. Here we go. Show and tell. There's and I'm going to mess up the quote horribly, but it's the somewhere along the lines I heard from something somewhere.
We'll trace that back.
That if follow the people, or listen to the people that have something you really want.
Right.
Those are the people that you want to be influenced by, and like that's a close cousin to like surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Right.
Either one of those adages work. I think, first of all, in any space, your success is directly related to how hungry you are for learning.
Right.
If you stay where you're at, that's as far as you're going to go.
Yeah.
And so I think in a large sense, it has increased for me since joining the team at Full Sail, because the people around me, yourself included, are so hungry for what's next. What ideas are bigger ideas.
Mm-hmm.
What technologies can I use? What ways can we build campaigns out? What way, that we might interface with clients or customers differently for the better? The team is so hungry for knowledge here that it has inspired me to try to stay, no matter how busy the day gets, to try to stay in constant upload mode, like get information where you can get information from. And so, whether it's everybody spends X number of hours. I won't say how many hours on their screens.
Do we want to look at it?
I won't even look.
Do we want to look at our screen
well,
time?
it's only noon, so it's not gonna be accurate of what my day will look like.
What do you think you use in? I'm putting you on the spot here. How many hours a day of screen time? No, just screen time in general. I mean, obviously you use your phone for work, right?
I do, so that's a big part of it. But
Yeah, totally.
Hours.
Yeah.
And hours of my day is spent on
Lou's shaking her head. She says, "No, I'm not going to share."
And it's honestly it is the place that I consume information and follow leads. I mean, speaking of Lou, I send Lou Instagram reels probably 3 or 4 a day of things that I see that I'm like, check this out, just because I need a place to put it and I need someone else that's thinking validate me. So my feed is a really, it's a place where I absorb information, because it is that the hot topics are put out in these short reels, and so I am consuming a lot of that.
Right.
But I also look at like what agencies, and I follow them on all of my channels, are what are the bigger agencies up to that smaller agencies can adopt some version of. So no matter what, you can pick an agency, fill in the blank here with any of the large scale agencies, but I follow them for information because they are constantly putting out valuable insights. I sent you an article yesterday about how one of the big great agencies out there was developing an entertainment wing of their business, because that's how people are consuming information. They're consuming it through entertainment.
Right.
And it got me thinking about, we're a smaller shop, we're growing.
Yeah.
Hope to one day to get there, but it doesn't mean that we can't create some version of what's being done for ourselves.
100%.
So that's
and
a
for
place
our
where-
smaller clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as we grow, the sky's the limit. We
Right.
should be thinking in those directions now. And, I am reading books that I've read years ago. I'm in a habit right now of picking up. I mean, I was binging stuff on Netflix that I watched 5 years ago. Now I'm reading books that I read 5 years ago to see if I pick up anything different. I'm right now reading the Big Leap, Gay Hendricks,
Big Leap.
The Big Leap. He talks a lot about the upper limit problem, and I'm growing in my career, and so I wanted to go back and look at where I was is not the top of where I'm going to be, and like how my own thinking can kind of get in the way,
Right.
And keep me in the box I'm comfortable in.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic book. If anybody's out there looking for a good read, it's short, it's fantastic. It'll have an impact on your thinking for sure. So check it out, Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. And the usual places, man, where people podcasts, where
Yeah.
the
What's a
big
good
ideas happen.
podcast you're listening to right now?
And
And why is it good? Just give me one.
So I've been listening to a guy whose name is Shannon Algeo. He has a podcast called The Soul Feed, and I've been back in his old episodes.
Podcast called
Soul Feed.
Soul Feed.
And he's I will say he's a little woo woo. He's on the woo woo side of things.
What is
on the coach side?
What
the
is
woo
the- oh,
woo
woo
side
woo,
of- yeah,
like-
that side of things.
not like a woo girl, but like
no, not a woo girl.
Okay.
But just on the spiritual side of things.
Okay.
And because I'm inundated with the industry talk so often.
Right.
I look for a little balance to the little softer side. 100%.
Yeah.
And so I've been in their old podcasts and working my way back up to the more contemporary stuff, because there's a library of his podcasts, and I think he's a great speaker with a pretty cool background. So check him out, Shannon Algeo, the Soul Feed. Cool podcast for sure. But
Definitely.
that's where I'm getting influences right now.
All right.
What about you?
Yeah, so I think you struck a chord with me of like you need balance in your content intake. And one of the things that I thought was interesting is when there becomes a time where you have too much intake, right?
Sure.
And one really good thing that it was on LinkedIn. Somebody wrote something. It's like, hey, when your head's full, you got to write. Or talk, I guess. I'm a verbal processor, so it helps me to get it out. I know I come into your office and, verbal diarrhea at you for
It's a lot of fun.
for an hour. You're like, oh my gosh, what was that? But I think for me, I got to get it out verbally and or write sometimes. I'll write. But so what I like to keep a couple different buckets going. And depending on my mood is where I'll go for that day or that minute, that car ride. So I don't crack a book open all that much unless I'm super into it. Like I got to be really into it. And then I'm going to listen and read at the same time. Sure. And one of the books that I am going through for the third time right now in a very short amount of time is, I know you're not a huge fan of Alex Hormozi, but Alex Hormozi's, hey, I know. It's all those muscles.
He seems really knowledgeable.
He is. He's super knowledgeable, but yeah. So $100 million offers is his book, and he's about to release one that's $100 million leads. That's coming up in August 19th is his release of the new book. But it's just really super practical, and it just makes sense, right? It cuts through the BS. And I think that's why I like him, is he's a direct speaker. And I'm not usually like a super direct person. I'm a beat around the busher. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when I have to give somebody like bad or disappointing news. I'm like, how do I dump this on them very lightly for them to not even know that I'm critiquing them?
I don't know, man. I know you to be pretty candid. So I don't know if I agree with you there. I think you shoot from the hip and keep it real.
So that is one book that I'm reading. So I do a business book, usually some kind of personal development book, and then I try to, whether it be, you know, God-centric or spiritual, you know, so I'll do something along those lines. So podcast that I'm into and have been into, two of them, right? So for business has been Roland Frazier's Business Lunch. I love Roland Frazier. He's just an absolute genius, talks a lot about business acquisitions, which we are super into. This year, I think we're going to entertain going outside of our core business and do an acquisition that's outside of our core business, but we're always looking to acquire within our core business to strengthen it, add good employees, good talent, and additional professional services for our clients.
Yeah.
So the other thing that he's super wicked intelligent on is AI. And so he's unpacking a lot of that, giving practical advice on how to use it. So $100 million offers, Roland Frazier's Business Lunch for podcast. Another great podcast that's business and spiritual is Craig Groeschel. Craig Groeschel is pastor of Life Church. It's the largest church in the United States. And he's a real, talk about a straight shooter, wicked disciplined, which I am not, and like I gain that from him. So yeah, Craig Groeschel, and there was one other one. Oh, a book that I just read, listened to, and was super impactful is on the personal side, and that was The Go Giver, which he writes a business book about, but The Go Giver Marriage Edition. And that was that I like that so much I gave it to my wife too to read. She might slap me. No, just kidding. But
Here, honey, here's a gift.
that was really great. And I think like if you're married, if you have a significant other, it's that relationship ripples across everything else, right? And so if that is strong and if that is working well, you know, for the most part, you're going to feel successful in the rest.
Sure.
The problem is the opposite. When that's not working well and you don't feel like that's successful or you're doing well, you feel like a failure in everything else.
Yeah. And
that can be like super destructive in business and in any type of achievement. So I think if I was to point anybody to do anything, is make sure that area of your life is clear, is buttoned down. You've said all that you needed to say, and it's healthy and thriving. So because it's what you need to start the day off right. And impact everybody else, right? That one person that you chose to do life with, when you two are in sync, you feel unstoppable. So
got it. Good notes. I mean,
yeah.
I'm 10 months married now, so I appreciate the insight.
Yeah.
I'll check that book out.
Go read it.
I will do it.
It's a good one.
I've got a good list now from you. Read the books and listen to the podcast your boss listens to, and you're in a pretty good spot. So I'll do it.
One book that screwed me up recently, I'll give that, and then we'll end this, is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So I'm working with a consultant to actually unpack that and work through what that book talks about. And if you want a challenge in your business life and personal life to just unpack all your crap, I recommend that one. And it's a little deep. You're gonna have to find somebody to help walk you through that one. But awesome
I actually
book.
think I ordered that one when you started doing it. So it's
you might cry a little bit. So get your Kleenexes out.
All right.
What got you there won't get you there.
I'll make you take me through it since you said you got to have someone to take you
Done.
through it.
I can't wait.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this little snackable episode of the At Cause podcast, of what we're doing, what we're listening to, what's impacting us, and hopefully you guys are consuming some great content. Hey, comment, let us know what you're listening to. We'd love to hear your feedback. And as always, you can follow us on all the socials, fullsail.media. Thank you so much. Cav.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Have a great one.